showing them that we can provision an environment, 0 to everything in 15 minutes.
That's up to you. Yes, I'll just hang around down here, if that's okay. Yeah, everything's working okay? Can you hear me okay?
Can you see her down there?
Can you see me down here? I always fear at conferences that I'm going to fall off the stage, so I thought I might just stay at home. So my name is Anne Currie.
And I'm Liz Rice, and we are co-founders of Force 12, which is a project, and well, it started as a side project to do with real-time scaling of containers. We would love to talk all day about containers and Docker and technology and things like that, so we'll do that over beer with you guys later. Force 12 is starting to get some real attention from, well, commercial attention. So we're starting to look at turning what was a side project into a proper business now. And what we thought we'd talk about today is what we're starting to think about in terms of building a team.
Because one of my side projects has always been an interest in psychology. So I did a lot of work with a London psychology company called the Mind Gym, with helping them build their products. And what became, it's very interesting, what motivates teams, how you build good teams is a phenomenally interesting subject. And as I started to look into it and find out a little bit more about it, I realized that a lot of the modern thinking about team psychology actually reminded me a great deal of a particular side project that I had at school, a particular side interest that I spent a lot of time on, which was AD&D. So it's quite a long time ago. I'm sure some of you, at least one of you in the audience, has played AD&D before.
Did anybody here play Dungeons and Dragons?
Hooray.
Okay, so there are some of you who know what she's talking about, because I never did. That's my confession. So Anne talks about these character alignments, and I'm like, what? So you're going to have to explain Dungeons & Dragons character alignments.
So what I realised is that an awful lot of the modern thinking in team psychology is really almost identical to what Gary Gygax came up with in the 70s, which is your D&D character alignments. And the key to a successful team, I've realised, is to understand what the character alignments of your team are.
So, why don't you walk us through what these character alignments mean?
So, for those of you who didn't play D&D in the audience, fundamentally the character alignments in D&D are your lawful, evil, chaotic, or good. As the key ones. That's the ones I'm interested in.
So, are you saying that we should be recruiting evil people into our team?
Well, but fundamentally, this is not literally evil, this is figuratively evil, and this is really all about what motivates people, which I think everybody's realizing is an incredibly important part of building teams. So really what we're saying is that this is a very useful model for working out what motivates your staff. So let's start with lawful. What motivates lawful people? What motivates lawful people is that they really get a kick from doing the correct thing, making things more correct, more right, rule following, making it architectural, making it beautiful. That's what they care about, making it correct. Evil people, slightly different. They're motivated by goals. It doesn't really matter what the goal is. The smarter, the better. The goal might be good. The goal might be actually evil. They don't really care. They're just motivated by delivering on that goal. Chaotic people. I think this is probably more of a conference for the chaotic than the lawful.
Anybody see any chaos? Yeah.
Are really motivated by new things, new ideas, new stuff. If it's a blank sheet of paper, it's massively motivating to the chaotic.
I've gone the wrong way.
And good, last but not least, because actually this is the majority of people, are motivated by helping others, which is a really nice thing to be motivated by. And the payoff for them, the way that they know that they have successfully helped others, is that they're grateful for it. That's the kicker. That's the payoff there.
Okay, so I get what these character alignments are, but how does that help us when we're managing a team? How can we use these motivations?
Well, I mean, like everything, this is a model. So, you know, it isn't necessarily all literally true, but it is a useful abstraction. It's a useful model of the truth. And physicists or statisticians, a lot of you will know that sometimes a model is more useful than all the detailed truth of the situation. But this is a useful model. The first thing is it's good to be reminded, although we all know this intellectually, we don't always remember it, that not everybody is motivated by the same thing. You know, that actually the people you're talking to might well not be at all motivated by what motivates you. So fundamentally, understanding that people are different. The next thing is, if you can frame a problem in terms of successful completion, give someone that hits what they're motivated by, then they will do a vastly better job and they will enjoy it. And what are we here for? We're here to enjoy it. Therefore, it's important that we give people tasks that they're actually going to enjoy completing.
Okay, so like maybe a third of the people in the room, Dungeons and Dragons, kind of, I don't really know what we're talking about. So I need us to bring this to an example that I understand that means something to me. So let's take it to an example from my childhood. How about that?
Okay, let's. I know what you're interested in. I know what you particularly like. So let's take an example of a team that you particularly like.
Okay.
So I think these are all folk that we know. I'm assuming that there's no spoilers here. Luke is the archetypal good person. He is actually motivated by helping others. He is the only one of his class who is still at home helping his uncle and aunt to bring in the harvest. And he might complain about it, but he stays because he's fundamentally good. He likes to help. He's massively motivated by rescuing Leia. But I would actually argue that this is definitely a spoiler, if the Empire hadn't murdered his uncle and aunt, he might not have actually gone because he's good and therefore he would want to stay and help the people who are around him. Also, he's kind of lawful. Because he's a Jedi Knight, and that's kind of a rule-following thing. But fundamentally, when push came to shove in Empire Strikes Back, when he was forced to choose between what was the correct thing to do, which was that Yoda said, no, the most important and correct thing is for you to stay here and complete your training, he chose to actually go off and help his friends instead. So fundamentally, he is motivated by helping rather than anything else. He is a naturally good character.
Okay, so I'm getting the hang of this. Luke is good, and one of my favourite characters back in my infant school, Leia. So she's clearly somebody who is motivated to achieve goals. She's got like a whole evil empire to overthrow. So if that isn't a goal, I don't know what is. And she's pretty bossy, right?
Yeah.
So I think I'm getting the hang of this.
Yeah. She's definitely an evil character. She is a goal-motivated character. So let's go on to the next member of the team. Okay, so Han, very, very creative, very charismatic, totally uninterested in following the rules, bit of an entrepreneur, doing loads and loads and loads of different kinds of job through his, keeps the Millennium Falcon going. He is naturally chaotic, I would say.
And at the other end of the scale, if there's a character that I can think of who really, really loves following the rules, surely C-3PO.
Yeah, absolutely. What is a protocol droid if not somebody who does things correctly? And actually that makes the lawful people seem a little unexciting compared to the others. But that's not necessarily true. When I was a child, he was my favourite character.
Okay, I love Star Wars and I love the characters in our team, but they are all quite kind of extreme versions of this, and I don't know very many people in the real world who are as lawful as C-3PO.
Yes, that's very true. And the perfect team does cover all bases, but it's not necessarily with one individual in each quadrant. Gary, my favourite, he saw how people would actually be generally more than one alignment. So, and he predicted it exactly what it is. And this actually maps very well to current psychological thinking, that people are often motivated by two things, but they're usually in two contiguous quadrants. So you might be lawful good, motivated by helping others and doing the correct thing. You might be lawful evil, doing the correct thing and goals. You might be chaotic good, new things and helping others, or chaotic evil, new things and goals.
Okay, so if we've got a really small team and we want to cover all those bases, what's a good kind of layout for members of the team?
Yeah, we're at the moment operating a very small project. So the perfect team for a very small project, like a side project, is a team of 2 people who cover all the bases. So I think you're looking for a lawful good person paired with a chaotic evil person, or a chaotic good person paired with a lawful evil person. So that's, and again, in order for that to work, people have to understand one another very well. They have to understand that their opposite number is not motivated by the same things that they are. But if it's very powerful if you can have a team where all possible viewpoints are represented and the team get on very well. That can be extremely powerful, extremely effective.
And obviously not everybody does get on, so how can we use this framework to predict when people might not work so well together?
Well, I've been running teams for very, very many years, and one of the things that I have noticed is that there are natural nemeses. And oddly enough, those natural nemeses are not your opposite, who is a very useful person for you to work with, but your vertical opposite. Horizontal opposites, fine, they get on okay. But vertical opposites, interestingly, often seem to clash on projects. And it's odd, it's not clear why that should be. You'd almost think, oh, well, they're motivated by the same thing, they should get on. But often they don't, because if you've got a goal of helping others or a goal of delivering on goals, then if you've got one person who wants to do it one way and one person who wants to do it in diametrically the opposite way that is not in any way aligned with the other person's desires and way that they'd like to work, then that can cause quite a lot of friction. So strong teams, you're often better off, strong small teams, you're quite often better off separating nemeses. APIs, that's what they're for.
Okay, so let's maybe take a look at the Star Wars team and see how they map on these axes. So we've already said, Leia, she's goal motivated, she's evil. Luke, he's really good. C-3PO, lawful. Han Solo, pretty chaotic. But can we use this to sort of predict any tensions?
Well, as you say, Han is chaotic, but he's slightly good because he always comes back. So let's say he's actually probably slightly good. He's slightly off the axis there. And Luke, he's good, but he's slightly lawful as well. He is a Jedi Knight. That is a very rule-following organization. So this is a really good team that every motivation will be covered. So they'll be able to kind of think through things very effectively as a group, cover all the bases. But Luke and Han might have some slight... If I was looking at this time, I'd say, well, they might slightly clash because they're going to want to do things a bit differently. And in fact, they do. But only to a slight degree, because they're not very strongly in the middle of either of those quadrants.
Okay, so the Star Wars team have really, they've got their work cut out. And I think maybe they should try to expand. Maybe they should try to hire somebody in. Can you think of any good candidates?
Well, actually, yeah, I've been hearing a lot of good stuff about this guy. Great personal brand, really snappy dresser, really gets things done.
I think I know who you mean. I just think maybe we should have a look at where he'd be on the character axes and see whether he'd fit in.
Yeah, let's see where he'd fit in.
I mean, it strikes me that he is also somebody who's pretty goal motivated. Mm. Evil seems appropriate.
Yeah, he does want to bring order to the universe, which does suggest he might be quite strongly lawful. He would really prefer it if everybody was wearing exactly the same outfit, apart from him, strangely enough. But no, you're right. He's quite lawful evil.
They're kind of, he and Leia are definitely in that kind of vertical. I think they're not going to get on. Yeah,
you're right. There could be a little bit of tension in stand-ups, and I have heard he's not. I have heard he's not very good at team meetings.
I've heard the same thing. Yeah. Okay, let's not hire Darth Vader into our Star Wars team.
Yeah, I think you might be right. Yeah.
Perhaps we should have a look at our own team at Force 12 and see where we fit in.
Yes, so you and I are very clearly chaotic evil, highly motivated by goals, and very much motivated by the new. We're always involved in startups, that kind of stuff, so that's all good. Ross, our architect, is very lawful good. He's really motivated by doing the correct thing, making it absolutely perfect, making sure that it's absolutely done correctly. And also, he's very good. He likes helping people. He's extremely helpful. So actually, that makes a pretty strong team because it's completely on the diagonal.
And we definitely seem to be getting on pretty well with each other and delivering some good stuff. So yeah, I guess I'm bought into this. We want to find more people in that kind of diagonal, at least to start with, as we grow our team. So if you're really into containers and you feel like you're lawful good or evil chaotic, then perhaps even more reason to come and have a chat with us over a beer later on. Because ultimately this is all really about how to build the perfect team. Because what you really want from a team, even if they're really small, is you really want to have a spectacular outcome. Thank you very much.